They can fill the current open positions and add a few more positions next year, a smaller number like 50 or 75 officers, before we tie up these valuable tax dollars that we need to fund things like more ACS positions to handle 100% of all critical ACS calls. We can cover 20,000 Plan Bs as part of the Reproductive Justice Fund. We can fund one more SA Core team to help avoid deaths like Melissa Perez and Damian Daniels. Even now, 3 teams is not enough to handle even a third of the calls that we expect to receive for mental health crises. $1.1 million, that fitness facility can literally help us cover 100% of all critical ACS calls. Please fund community, not police.
Thank you.
San Antonio is proposing to use to expand the fitness center for police officers. I'm a citizen and I'm a teacher living on the east side. After listening to many community members, I do not believe the majority of citizens saying police are actually decreasing violence. In my neighborhood, as far as my neighborhood is concerned, I do not know a single person who would call the police if they're feeling unsafe. I'm aware that this proposal to expand the gym is part of a larger plan that includes adding over 105 more officers. I asked why when there are open vacancies right now that have not been filled. 6 decades worth of data shows that spending more money on policing does not solve crime. If mental health professionals such as those working for SA Core had more money to respond to police calls, we could save lives. I think about the life of Melissa Perez that was recently taken by San Antonio police officers when she was in the midst of a mental health crisis. SA Core is only one solution to preventing citizens from being harmed by police who generally prove incompetent de-escalating crises. In addition, SA Core, the $1 million that is supposed to be spent on a police gym could go to animal care services, as mentioned before. More money could be allocated to violence interruption programs, after-school services for students, reproductive health services, and assistance programs for houseless people. The city should spend this money on public housing and emergency beds as a way to prevent violence. I'm reminded of another citizen recently lost due to misallocation of resources in our local government. Albert Garcia, his vigil was actually last Sunday. He's a disabled homeless man who died on the street after being like a caregiver that forced him back out onto the street. We need to address the countless citizens' lives that we lost when we allocate more resources to police who are taking lives and less resources to children, houseless, elderly, disabled, low-income people, those in high-risk or violent situations, and women and pregnant folk. The solution to many of these problems lies in using money wisely to build up communities and social programs. Many community members of the police break the law and get punished for it.
Kind of a rude thing to consider, considering that there's a lot of homeless people and people that are suffering with mental health that can't find jobs, like myself. I'm homeless, by the way. I live with my uncle. If it wasn't for my uncle, I wouldn't have a place to live. I've been trying to get help for him to get his house fixed for 6 years, and I still can't get the help. So the reason I'm sad to not see the manager, city manager, and Ms. Phyllis Villarron, I'm not even sure how you pronounce her name, is that neither one of them are helping. Either they're sending me to places that people that don't exist, people that don't respond back to emails. It's a show when you send somebody to the people once they leave the podium, as if you're going to help them. I'm offended by that at this point, because this is my 3rd time speaking. And once it was with you, Mr. Mayor, that you sent somebody to help me before I became homeless, and nobody helped me. Once I became homeless, I tried to reach out to District 2, and nobody helped me because I was living in District 2 at the time. Now I'm living in District 3, trying to get my help that we need for the house. Still can't get no help. Please help the humans that are homeless and the animals that are homeless before you give your people raises, because that's the focus.
Last month, the Little Fund gave about $104,333 to about 275 Texans. This is both for their care and also other reproductive care that they are needing. There are also other organizations here that have been on the ground providing critical care outside of the predatory and biased anti-abortion centers that are all throughout Texas, also known as CPCs. And the state has funded them at about $160 million of taxpayer dollars that are going to coerce people to not have abortion. So what we're here to ask is that San Antonio doesn't turn their back on the people of San Antonio that can be creative in the way that the state has not only turned their back with like criminalizes people, it's critical to our care, it's critical to our lives, and we know that you all do care about people's lives, including their need for abortion care and other care that is outside of a critical, coercive and ugly system that are anti-abortion centers that so many of our folks do, have to get swept up in. And the last thing I will say is that please fund care, fund abortion care, and not cops. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guerrero. My name is Logan Munoz. I'm a community builder at Act 4SA. However, I'm also a resident and member of the San Antonio community. And this is just a city riddled with poverty and severe misallocation of resources. So when I found out about the expansion of the police force, I became concerned. The concern is not only for me, but for the communities that make up this city. An increase of 105 officers when we're already lacking the ability to fill up current vacancies is ignorance at its best and borders the fine line of irresponsibility. And when accounting for training complexes valued at $1.1 million, we even tread absurdity. This would create a 7.8% budget increase that the citizens of this fine city would never be able to go back on due to HB 1900, otherwise known as the defund bill. Financial resources like these that can obviously be so hastily wasted on a privatized gym could go towards better, more community beneficial things like violence interruption programs, after school programs, assistance programs for houseless and elderly folks, initiatives for sustainable housing, the funding of meals for children in need at our local public schools. The list is almost never ending. These are all things the citizens of this city you claim to serve have requested from you for ages. Things that could aid in the creation of the change you promised when you were voted into your respective offices. That is why I'm asking you to reconsider the funding of police and more heavily consider the funding of the communities you swore to serve when you were elected into your office, Mayor and City Council. Thank you.
I am an Urban Ag Community Coordinator at Eco Centro and Garcia Street Urban Farm on the east side. We are located in District 2, the farm is, and Eco Centro is in District 1. I am a resident of District 7. I've worked over 10 years in public health as a community health worker and now growing food for my community. The pandemic brought food insecurity to the surface, and in that we happened to get the opportunity to pass out food to community, and there are some community members here that helped us. We pushed out over 3 million pounds of produce during the pandemic to feed everybody that we could, right? We saw that people were suffering and weren't able to access food. And our food bank is incredible, one of the best in the nation, but it nonetheless serves 29 counties. And when that large and consolidated, there's only so many last mile efforts of distribution that the food bank can achieve. When it comes to citizens needing food in urban San Antonio, those facing intersectional barriers like disabled elderly and transportation, limited folks, as I saw personally in the pandemic, are the first to lose access to food support. In that, we were inspired, along with the African American Methodist Episcopal Church, to start building out spaces where they are able to grow and provide food for their community members. And up to date, in the last 2 seasons, AME has pushed out over 1,500 pounds of produce into their communities on the east side. And funding for community projects and organizations like this could impact the reach significantly. At San Antonio College, Garcia Street Urban Farm has filled the Student Advocacy Center refrigerators with hundreds of pounds of produce in the past 4 seasons. We intend on expanding into St. Philip's Advocacy Center in the coming seasons. Empowering and funding individuals and organizations that are growing food in the city and encouraging more to participate addresses so many issues facing San Antonio's future, but in particular gives agency to people and nonprofits to help grow and distribute healthy food to their own communities.